The Steelers' 2023 first-round pick was labeled a loser at the team's OTAs, plus a QB rankings list that has my mind absolutely boggled. Big Deke News. Steeler reporter Mark Kaboly wrote an article for The Athletic stating his winners and losers from the Steelers' OTAs. He just so happened to have Broderick Jones on his list of losers. Says, I hate to label the first-round pick a loser based on what he showed the past month because offensive line play cannot be judged until the helmet and pads go on. But it sure seems like the Steelers are happy with Jones sitting and learning for a while. That might be a week or a year, all depends on him. Jones could come out in camp and dominate and overtake Moore. We've seen that before with Marquise Pouncey, but the Steelers, speaking glowingly of Moore and his improvement, could be a precursor of what is to come. Trust me when I tell you that facing Nick Bosa, Myles Garrett, Max Crosby in the first 3 games won't have anything to do with it. I get where he's coming from here, but this feels like a stretch. He made a winners and losers list, so I guess you got to put some guys in the loser category and give a reason why. But this just feels odd to me considering all the reports coming out of OTAs and minicamp were all positive about Broderick Jones. Like, he's getting first-team reps at left tackle. They already started moving Dan Moore over to the right side, giving him some work over there. So obviously Kaboly is making his case less about Broderick's performance on the field and more about just the fact he's going to have to compete for that starting left tackle spot. It's just not going to be given to him because there were definitely those under the assumption that Jones was just going to be the starter day one of the offseason like it was nothing. I was never of that mindset. I was curious who would be getting first-team reps early on and whatnot, but I always thought he'd have to compete with Dan Moore and earn his chance to be the starter for week 1, which is fine. And if the Steelers were to give Jones like every opportunity, potentially give him the inside track because he's the first-round pick, that's fine as well. I got no problem. And actually, to be honest with you, I don't really care who starts between Dan Moore or Broderick Jones week 1. I just want the better player out there and the one that's going to protect Kenny Pickett. It's kind of as simple as that. But ultimately, for me, not a big fan of the loser label being thrown in Broderick Jones' direction, especially since it didn't seem to have anything to do with what he was doing on the field during OTAs and minicamp. It was more about his competitor and Dan Moore getting some glowing reports. But I get it. You got to understand, this is kind of how these articles go sometimes. You could be marked as a loser based off nothing that you actually did. Like, imagine a trade just went through. The Steelers just traded for a new receiver, and you do an article. It's like winners and losers of the trade. You could say like, oh, Deontay Johnson is a loser because he's going to be getting less targets because the Steelers just brought in a new receiver. So I get it. That's kind of the angle Kaboly's coming at with this article. And again, we can't really give an accurate assessment of what's going on here in shirts and shorts and no pads. Kaboly said it himself, and also Moats even mentioned this on yesterday's podcast.
My biggest critique is, how do you call an offensive lineman a loser in shirts and shorts practice? You can't evaluate it. You notice every time I've talked, whether it was this year, last year, any of these years, you hardly ever hear me talk about O-line, D-line, and OTAs and minicamp.
But now for the next and final topic. I've had this one in the back burner for a while. I think this article's from May. Wanted to make it into a segment on the show, but never really got around to it. But now we're in the official dog days of summer. I mean, I just got done talking about winners and losers lists with Broderick Jones and Dan Moore. So why not keep the good times rolling? A backup quarterback ranking. We got Sports Illustrated's Gilberto Manzano having our guy, Mitch Trubisky, as the 15th best backup quarterback in the NFL. How? I've already been on record saying that Mitch is the best backup in the league right now, and I'd take him over like 8, 9, maybe 10 of the starters as well. But here's the guys that he has above Mitch on his list. 14, Tyrod Taylor. 13, Davis Mills. 12, Bailey Zappi. Come on, bro. Marcus Mariota at 11. At 10, P.J. Walker. 9, Mike White. 8, Tyler Huntley. 7, Sam Darnold. 6, Cooper Rush. 5, Jameis Winston. 4, Taylor Heineke. 3, Gardner Minshew. 2, Jacoby Brissett. And 1, Andy Dalton. I don't care. You could hate on Mitch all you want, but he's not worse than those 14 names I just rattled off. How is Andy Dalton 1, but Mitch at 15? Doesn't make sense at all. And I'm actually kind of surprised when I saw this. I thought it'd be a sure thing. Mitch would be in the top 3 or 5, no matter what backup quarterback list you had out there. Is the hate around the league for Mitch like that strong, or do you guys feel like this is an outlier? For me, it's one of those things like, you could rip on your brother or your friends or something, but like if someone else from the outside starts saying something, it's like, nah, that's not cool. It's kind of the same way with Mitch. Like, Steeler Nation, we could rag on Mitch. It's like just one of those things. But if someone else is dropping him at number 15 in their backup quarterback rankings list, it's like, nah, we got a problem. Something's messed up here. But again, this is the dog days of summer. And the Pirates are losing a lot, and we got some bad lists to critique and go over, and this was the latest one. So let me know what you guys think of the Broderick Jones being labeled a loser situation, and also Mitch Trubisky being ranked 15th on this list. Where would you have him on the backup QB list? Again, I already told you where I have him. I have him at 1, and I'd take him over between 8 to 10 starters right now. That's it for this edition of Big Deke News on a Thursday. Stay chillin' and peace.